the head basketball coach of the Struthers Wildcats, Mike Wernecki. Coach, how are you today, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. You got this matchup tonight against Canton South out of the EBC, and Anthony and I have talked an awful lot about how this league is completely different from any other league in that they play in your face, very physical, your nose will be bloodied on occasion type of defense, where if the officials let them play this way, they can really wear down some teams. I'm sure you have seen Canton South. What are your impressions of this basketball team heading into the district semifinals, Coach?
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's two factors to this team, and as I've gone through it, one of the things I'll prelude to that. One of the things that's been different about this year's bracket is, the other side of the bracket with Poland and whatnot. They're all playing teams that they're relatively familiar with, and our side of the bracket is filled with a lot of teams that we are not familiar with. And Canton South is a team that I had not seen play ever leading up until this week. As far as they go, they are as well coached as any team that I have coached against since I've been at Struthers. Coach Connolly's got a plan for every scenario, offensively and defensively throughout the game. So I've been unbelievably impressed with their day-to-day preparation and the things that they're able to do in different scenarios. As far as their basketball team goes, this is the best team that we've played all year relative to the time that we're playing them. They've won 10 of their last 11 games, and they have all the ingredients to beat you. They've got a guard in Shamar Blackman who's as quick as any guard that we've played all year, who can get to the rim when he wants and can also extend the defense by making some threes. They've got a very physical guard, a left-handed kid named Braden Brooks, who can shoot it from the volleyball line. And they've got a really intriguing, undersized, kind of bowling ball post player in Tyler Pritchard. They list him at 6'3", but he is very physical inside. And if he doesn't score off of a move, he usually gets himself to the foul line. And then they've got some other pieces, a kid named Brady Knowles, who reminds me a little bit of, when you look at him, of Carson Ryan, who we had last year. He's a 6'4", 6'5" wing, and he's extremely long and can really affect the game on the defensive end. And then there are other starters, a kid named Luke Hattery, who's another really good rebounder, shoots a really high percentage under the arc. So, this team provides many, many obstacles for us, and they definitely have our attention. If we don't play our best game of the year, we could easily come out of this game with a loss.
When you kind of look at the way the Division II bracket is scheduled, you have a little bit more time to prepare for Canton South than a normal kind of scheduled regular season game. Do you think, like you said, these are teams that you're unfamiliar with? Is it kind of an advantage to have a little bit more time to go and prepare for Canton South?
I'll tell you, it's a catch-22. As a coach, by the time I got to Wednesday, I sat there and said, man, I wish we had a one-day turnaround for this game because you end up watching so much film because it's a team that you're not familiar with. And, I've probably watched 8 games. Some of them I've watched twice, and you just start going back and forth, and you start to pay attention to too many things. And when you do that, you can kind of get distracted and kind of take the focus off of your own team and doing what you need to do to win. Is it nice to help you prepare? Yes, it is. But sometimes, that 5 days at this time of the year seems like an eternity.
Mike Wernecki, the head basketball coach of the Struthers Wildcats, joining us on the MPVivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I'm curious, when you break down film, how often are you stopping the film, turning it back, and watching the same thing multiple times?
My process is, I don't know if it's the same or different, but the very first game that I watch, it might take me 3 hours to go through it. because I write down every single thing that I can possibly write down, as far as personnel, what their out of bounds plays look like, how they defend out of bounds plays, what they do when they feed the post. What are they running at the end of quarters? What are they running coming out of timeouts, coming out of quarters, all that stuff. And I kind of catalog that. And then every game that I watch after gets a little bit easier to watch because I start to see patterns develop. And I'll be honest with you, once I get through like a game or two games, a lot of the rest of the games, I get on the treadmill and watch so I don't stop it because I want to see the flow of the game. And sometimes you can lose that perspective when you're sitting there rewinding. And for me, it really helps to just kind of watch the game in its entirety, see how things unfold and how they play out.
Some coaches, and I've talked to some folks, they'll flat out say, hey, we're just going to watch the game film in its entirety, and then I'm going to watch it again, and that's when we're going to stop, rewind, see this again, look for some patterns and whatnot. But you see the game in its entirety first, and then when you see the game again, that's when you start taking all the notes.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different, and that way has worked for me for a long time. I just like to have my notes in front of me to say when I see something different, oh, you know what, that's not a new play. It's just they didn't run it right, or it's a wrinkle to what they did, 3 games ago. So, I mean, again, there's a lot of coaches out there better than me that probably do it different to me, and this is what's worked for me, and, we'll see. Hopefully it'll help us tonight.
In the same category, do you ever kind of, when you're preparing for a team, do you ever watch game film of yourselves and think, how would this team guard this particular play that I'm running, and how would I defend this play, and try to kind of mentally decide, how other teams might decide to guard you based on what you're doing?
No question. Now, that process is a little bit different. When I put stuff in, as far as when we start to build our offensive catalog, whether it's man or zone, but the first thing I do before I put any play in is I say, how would I defend this? To kind of see if it's, the validity of it. And then you got to kind of run it in practice because I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of things that I've come up with in my head or on paper that I'm like, man, no one's ever going to be able to guard this. And we can't even run it in practice or it doesn't work. So, that's kind of a fluid thing as you go throughout the year. But what I do look at is, like, I have our offensive catalog now, and I kind of look at some of the things that they do defensively, some of their defensive tendencies, whether it's how they play ball screens or, do they trap passes or whatnot. And then I kind of look at our stuff and say, what are the problem areas? I don't want to, if a team's going to come out and run, they're going to trap the first pass. Well, then I'm not going to run a lot of plays where we enter to the wing and cut away and get ourselves trapped. So, I kind of look at it like that. But, yes, to answer your question, I do look at those things, based on what the defense may show against us.
Mike Wernecki, the head basketball coach of the Struthers Wildcats, the undefeated Struthers Wildcats, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Coach, it's always said come tournament time, the bench shrinks a little bit. From a coaching aspect, does the offense and defense, in terms of what you want to do, shrink as well? Or do you keep everything on the table ready for the guys to go into?
No, I keep everything on the table. The last thing, whether something, whether we execute it or not, or it doesn't, it works or doesn't work. I'm not going to shrink our catalog. I'm not going to shrink our bench because you just don't know. Now I have a plan going into the game on how we want to attack them offensively and defensively, but I'm not afraid at any moment to throw anything out there, and I'm not afraid to put my bench out there. Does the bench shrink? I don't know. If you have a good bench, why would you shrink it? I'm not all. We played a certain way for 23 games. All of a sudden, I'm not going to go out and run my starters out there for 32 minutes and say, well, this game's bigger than the last one. My guys, my bench guys understand, what their role is and when they're going to be inserted and what they need to do when they come in, and that's how we're going to play it.
It's no secret that a couple of times this season you guys have gotten off to kind of a slow start, a slow first quarter. You get down by a couple of points or maybe 10 points to a team. That starts to get a little bit more taxing when it's tournament time. Is this a point of emphasis as you go forward, how important it is to get off to a very quick start in these type of games?
Oh, absolutely. At this time of the year, everybody gets a little bit tighter. But the pressure gets to you only if you let it. And I think that comes from the top. If we're down 8 in the second quarter and I'm calling timeouts and screaming and yelling and acting like, the end of the world's coming, then my guys are going to follow suit to that. So, it's my job, no matter how the game starts, to kind of manage our momentum and manage our energy and our emotional level and keep us on an even keel. But there's no secret that the quicker you get out of the gate, the better chance that you have this time of the year.
Mike Wernecki, the head basketball coach of the Struthers Wildcats, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I'm going to ask a strange question. In a pressure situation, I recall many, many years ago, Joe Montana, prior to leading the 49ers on a 92-yard scoring drive in the Super Bowl, looked into the stands and said, "Hey, isn't that John Candy?" And everyone's looking at him like, "What the hell's wrong with you? We're in the middle of a game." But then everyone realized, wait a minute, he's just trying to take all the pressure off. Is there a situation where game's on the line and everyone you can see they're tight? You just say something completely irrelevant or crack a joke just to get everyone loosened up?
I've done that this year. We've had some tight moments in third quarters, even in start of fourth quarters, and we've had a timeout, whether I called it or whether it was a TV timeout or whatever you want to call it. And I looked at the guys, and I'm not very funny anyways, but I've just looked at them and said something stupid, and I said, "Look, guys, this is fun. This is what we want to do here. Every game can't be decided in the first 5 minutes, and and fortunately, we have been pushed this year in first halves and second halves, and we've had our share of adversity. I'll just go back, 2 weeks ago on Friday, when Aiden Slocum went down in the third quarter with his fourth foul early in that quarter. And, we had some adversity there. We hadn't been in a situation all year where, Aiden was off the floor 6 minutes to go in the third quarter in a 5-point game. What do we do? And our bench stepped up and we fought through that and ended up doing what we needed to do. But yeah, there's certain moments in the game where, you got to remember it's just a game, and, every situation isn't life or death. And sometimes lightheartedness and changing the mood just gets their focus back on, okay, we're good. Let's go out and do what we need to do now.
We've talked to a handful of coaches that would normally be playing their tournament games at the Struthers Fieldhouse, and they say, we love that we're home, but we miss the Struthers Fieldhouse. It gives that tournament atmosphere. So from your perspective, you do get to play districts at the Struthers Fieldhouse. How special is it to host this district semifinal game and to get it in a place like your home where it's just such a tournament atmosphere in there?
Well, I'll start with this. Anytime you don't have to get on the yellow bus, it's nice. The more that you can play at home, and we just happen to have a great, home court to play on is tremendous. And it's unprecedented to be playing at home this time of the year. And we've earned that opportunity, but we also don't want to waste that opportunity. Unfortunately, the overall atmosphere hasn't been what it could be. Obviously, if we weren't in a COVID year, we wouldn't be playing at home. So it's kind of a catch-22 in the fact that, we are at home, but you don't get, the full experience of the fans. But I will say, the last couple games have started to build momentum as far as, what's been going on in the field house. And, our fans have been tremendous. And, we've been trying to get the maximum that the state allows us. And the atmosphere has grown and grown each day. And I expect tonight to be, no less, a tremendous atmosphere. And I think it will help us. And it's this is what the kids deserve. These kids have gone through so much this year. And any little caveat that we can add to enhance their experience, then I'm all for it, and I can't wait for tonight.
Coach, you earlier in the interview, you made mention that the bottom part of the other district, I should say, you have Poland, you have West Branch, you have Cheney, 3 of the 4 teams very familiar, where in your district, Canfield is the only other team that's familiar to Struthers. Chardon, Canton South, 2 teams that you would normally not see during the regular season, let alone in the regular tournaments. I got to ask, this new format that we have, the 2 districts combining into one big district, what are your thoughts on this? And is there something, assuming that they stay with this, and it's a pretty good assumption that they will, what is one thing that you would like to see to enhance this much better?
That's a good question. I think everybody's particular experience with the way the bracket is set up this year is going to be directly correlated to how they finish. If you're a semifinal team and you have to play on the road as opposed to playing in a neutral site team, and you come out of here with a loss, you might feel differently. You might say, you know what, if we were both playing on a neutral site, this game might have been different. In our scenario, if we're fortunate enough to come out ahead tonight and play again at home on Saturday, we might think differently about it. There's good things and bad things. You can make a case for both. I think from a fan's perspective, there's something to go into those neutral site places and filling up 2 sides of the gym. I'm not complaining. I like for me to play at home, I like the restricted travel. And obviously, anytime that we've gotten on a roll here at the field house, and it's been tremendous. And you can't put a price tag on that this time of the year. I guess you would have to ask the fans how they feel about it at the end of the year. It does make it difficult, for some of these teams now that are traveling an hour, hour 15, an hour and a half. But I've been pleased with it. And hopefully it benefits us as we go through.
We've said at the top, and you guys are undefeated. It's so hard to go undefeated in the regular season, and then even in the tournaments. I know it's hard to reflect because you still got games to kind of prepare for, and you still got business to take care of. But how special has this season been when you kind of look at what you guys have been able to accomplish so far?
That from a coach's perspective, it's I don't think we ever allow ourselves to enjoy what we're going through as we're going through it, because every day there's one more thing to prepare for, or something else to deal with. I think that's something I'll reflect on at the end of the year. The undefeated thing, it hasn't. I don't know if it's the maturity of my group. It just hasn't been an issue. It hasn't been on the table all year. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Nobody covers our games. We don't get highlights on TV. The only time the TV's at our games is when we play on TV, and that was the Poland and McDonald game. So the undefeated thing hasn't really been out there all year. We haven't had newspaper people at our game all year. So it is an unbelievable accomplishment. Don't get me wrong, but now, once you get past the end of the regular season, then if you're going to finish undefeated, then you've done something for the history books forever, because that last game is going to be in Dayton. Now, the new season, everybody in the state except for 4 teams is going to finish with a loss. Hopefully we're not one of them, but I know I'm going in circles here, but we just haven't really talked about it, haven't put it into perspective yet. Our story hasn't been written all the way to conclusion, and we still have a few more chapters to go. So we'll hopefully we'll get an opportunity to sit down and talk again after the season, and I'll have a better answer for you when we get to that point.
Coach, what is the one thing that you guys must do to come out of the field house with a victory tonight against Canton South?
I'll say there's 3 things. Number 1, we have to rebound the basketball. This is a really good rebounding basketball team, and we can't give them extra possessions as you go throughout the night. The second thing is we have to defend the paint and the foul line. This team does a great job of getting the ball, whether it's off of a drive or whether it's off of a back screen, into the paint. And a lot of the times, if they don't score it in the paint, they're getting themselves to the foul line. So we've got to defend those two areas. And then thirdly, you have to take care of the basketball. They're unique defensively because their base defense is a 1-3-1, and we have not seen it this year to the extent that they play it. So there's going to be some things to figure out offensively for us tonight, and we can't be passive and we can't turn the ball over. So if we do those things well, then we'll have a chance to win. I don't think it guarantees you a win, but if we don't do those things well, there's a pretty good chance you're gonna struggle. So this is an excellent basketball team, and they're very capable of winning this whole district and making some noise.
1-3-1 is code for don't even try to do skip passes because you'll get picked off.
No, they're really good, and Shamar Blackman is exceptional as an off-ball anticipator. He really makes things happen, and then they put Brady Knoll, the 6'5" kid, at the top, so you're not just your vision is kind of taken away, and we're going to have to figure some things out and score in ways that we haven't scored in our previous 23 games. So, but I trust my guys, and we've prepared as well as we can prepare, and I know my guys are going to be ready to play, and they're going to do what they need to do.
Hey, good news! If you're fortunate enough to win, you won't have another 5-day layover. You get to turn right around and play on Saturday, so you'll get your wish for a quick turnaround if you're able to knock off Canton South tonight.
Oh, and boy, there's two really good teams waiting. Chardon's record's a little deceiving because they won the state championship in football, so they had a lot of kids early in the year that just weren't in the mix yet. And they've won a lot of games late, and they are big and they are physical, and they've played a tremendous schedule over there in the greater Cleveland area, and that is a really good basketball team. And obviously Canfield has steadily gotten better the whole year. Coach McElroy does a tremendous job with that group, and Trey Dye's having an unbelievable year. I think he had 33 the other night against Ursuline. So, it only gets harder this time of the year. So don't ask me who I'd rather play because I don't have an answer for you.
I was about to ask that, so I'm going to shut it down. That's, we're going to shut that one down, and you just concentrate on Canton South. Coach.
I know, everybody else talks about it. I have not watched 1 second of film on Chardon or Canfield. I'm one of those guys. I just can't do it. I don't know if it's my mind can't handle two different teams to prepare for, and certainly from I never want to put the cart before the horse. I mean, I understand how quickly you can get distracted and how quickly these things can change and your season can get taken away from you. So I'll deal with the other team, whoever it is, if we're fortunate enough, and if I got to stay up all night tonight, so be it.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. I mean, and there's something to be said for not even worrying about the district championship game. Actually, I can appreciate that. So many of us in the media are looking forward, and it's the coaches that are sitting back and saying, no, wait a minute. We still have a game to play here, and we have to win this game. So if you win this game, I would imagine Thursday nights, overnight, and all night, is going to be, hey, let's take a look and see what Chardon or Canfield brings to the table.
Absolutely. And look, I wouldn't – there's nothing I'd rather be doing this time of the year. Like, if you look at it as an inconvenience, then you're just not enjoying what's going on here. If I don't go to sleep until tomorrow or Friday night, whenever it is, because I had to get my team ready, then so be it. I mean, that's the fun of this. And that's why we do it. Is it insane? Yeah, it's insane. But geez, like there's nothing else in this planet I'd rather be doing if I'm not spending time with my wife and my son or my family than watching film and getting my guys ready for a game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, coaches spend so much time to prepare the team. I think there's a lot of time that you spend that people just don't know about because it's all behind the scenes. So hats off to you and your staff. You don't get to this point without the work that's put in, and I think not enough people understand the work and the extra time that goes into being a head coach and even the assistant coaches on the staff.
No, you're right, and I would be unbelievably selfish if I even took any of the credit for this, because I've got a staff behind me that does anything that I ask and anything that I need, and they're good at everything that they do. And I've got an administration all the way down from my superintendent, Pete Perrone, and our principal, Roger Day, and my athletic director, Nancy Knight, who, they don't get any credit for our season because, people just don't look at your administration as far as that. But, we would not be here without their support. They've kept us moving forward every day. They've helped us get through any of the distractions that we've had to get through off the floor, and haven't scored a basket or had a rebound this year. So I don't have a whole lot to do with this. I mean, there's just a lot of people that have way more impact on our games and on our season than I do.
Okay, so here's the plan for tonight. Take care of Canton South, order about 3 really good pizzas from the Elmton, get back home, crack open some beer, eat some pizza, and prepare yourselves all night long to study Chardon or Canfield. You got a belly full of pizza, belly full of Budweiser, and a knowledge of basketball, Chardon or Canfield style, and you're ready to go and eat some pizza for breakfast on Friday morning.
I don't know, Ron. If he eats all that, he might.
Are you trying to kill me?
No, listen, I'm just saying. Take a couple of pizzas. You and the coaching staff have some fun, eat some pizza, and watch some film.
Ron, if he does all that, he might be asleep by halftime of the first game.
I know.
Well, Friday you get 12 hours of sleep. I mean, you're gonna be up all night watching film, so you get plenty of sleep on Friday and get ready for Saturday.
You're gonna put him in a food coma.
There you go. Now, you threw out Budweiser, so that's your go-to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if it's not Budweiser, it's going to be Yingling.
Okay. I can't relate to the Budweiser, but I've got a few others in my catalog. But
okay, well, let me ask, what's the go-to?
Well, I'm a fan of the champagne of beers, and if you know what that is, you know what I'm talking
Miller,
about.
Absolutely. It's Miller time then. If Wildcats win, then you get a couple of Elmton pizzas, and it's Miller time.
No, there you go.
You're a Milwaukee guy with beer. I'm more of a St. Louis guy, so there you go. Hey, best of luck to you tonight. Congratulations on the incredible success of this basketball program. You got your hands full tonight. You know it. Go out, get the victory, and then order some Elmton and get ready for Saturday.
Well, I appreciate it, and I thank you for your continued support and allowing me to come out and talk to you. And like I said, hopefully we get a chance here to talk again really soon. So,
absolutely.
God bless, and hopefully we're fortunate enough to come out with one tonight. I will talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, Coach. Always a pleasure, sir.